Hello there. Phew. Oh boy. Mando Season 3. Can you believe it's already here? Well, believe it, my young Padawans, because we're about to dive right into this headstrong and take an in-depth look at Season 3, Episode 1, Chapter 17, The Apostate. It's been quite a while since we left Mando and Grogu, and to make a long story synopsis short, Grogu and Mando have reunited since Grogu's brief stint with Luke and Ahsoka. For now, he put the Jedi ways aside and decided to go back to his adopted father. With a new sleek ship, the Darksaber in hand, and a galaxy full to explore, it's time once again to lightspeed straight into this adventure. If you recall Din's last encounter with the Armorer, he revealed that he had removed his helmet both times in virtue of protecting his child. Because of this, though, he was deemed a Mandalorian no more, as he had broken the creed. The only means of redemption was to visit the mines of Mandalore that had since been destroyed, and he was to bathe in the living waters to achieve restoration. He now finds himself in the situation to both continue to be a father and find his way within the Mandalorian creed. We open the scene with a beautiful, enigmatic shot of the armorer's smithing area, where she is seen forging a new piece of armor. As we watch her mastercraft a new Mandalorian helmet, she exits the cave holding the helmet in a ceremonial fashion. We see a group of several other Mandalorians standing on a beach taking part in what is now obviously a ceremonial initiation gathering for one of their new young foundlings. Jon Favreau is actually under one of those helmets as the character Paz Vizsla. As the boy is taking the oath, there is a still moment until out bursts an enormous beast from the sea that is reminiscent of some kind of hybrid of an Ankylosaurus and a Sarcosuchus. I think that's how it's said. I don't know. I'm not a dinosaur expert. The clan engages in an intense battle, firing just about everything they have at it and losing some soldiers in the process. Just as the beast continues to overwhelm them, a flash of Din's modified Naboo starfighter comes blasting in and sends a proton torpedo directly into the underbelly of the beast, killing it instantly. The ship lands, and we got our first shot of Mando. And of course, an adorable little pop-up of Grogu in a special little domed seat. And suddenly, we're all feeling back home again. Inside the armorer's workshop, Din is coldly reminded that he's still not a Mandalorian anymore, that it's even worse that he removed his helmet by his own volition. He is also reminded that during the purge of Mandalore, the mines with the living waters was also destroyed. Therefore, his redemption is now all but impossible. But Din shows her a piece of stone tablet crystallized by the fusion from the turbo lasers that destroyed Mandalore. He seems to have found this on a Jawa, who in turn picked it up from a traveler. Who is this traveler anyways? Din tells the armorer that he believes the mines are still accessible, and that he will not give up until he can bathe in those waters to be cleansed in redemption. This is the way. We cut to the Naboo starfighter hurtling peacefully through hyperspace. This is not something we see all that often in Star Wars, as it's usually just a quick jump to light speed and then wham bam thank you ma'am, we're at the next location. What we see though is that there is something about hyperspace that is just hypnotic, serene, and just simply beautiful. And we see here Grogu taking in that moment, being present and aware of the beauty that surrounds him. To add even more reverence to this scene, Grogu notices that they have other beings peacefully moving with them. Yep, if you recognize these creatures, these are Purgle, or as I call them, the hyperspace whales, and we first saw these at the end of Rebels. Like Ezra, Grogu is able to reach out and feel their essence in some form, and it's just so beautiful to witness. Yet again, we're seeing more and more connections throughout the shows. They arrive on Navarro, and we see that it has really blossomed into an awesome independent world, teeming with life and trade. The environment is absolutely spectacular. The lighting, the creatures, the shot of Mando's ship landing is just gorgeous. As one of my favorite ships in Star Wars, I gotta say that his ship looks rad as hell right now. We see 3PO-esque protocol droids as welcoming liaisons, and we also see more of those Kowokian monkey lizards similar to Salacious Crumb. You know, Jabba's little laughing sidekick in Return of the Jedi. In the middle of the courtyard, there is a memorial monument statue to the great IG-11 from the first season of Mando, where, if you remember, he sacrificed himself to make sure that Mando and Grogu could escape the stormtrooper ambush waiting for them outside their escape tunnel. A wonderful touch to immortalize a droid like that, riding right up the ranks with the greats like 3PO and R2. As Mando and Grogu are paying their respects to IG, they are greeted by a super dapper Greef Karga, now magistrate, High Magistrate of the Blossoming City. We know he's High Magistrate now, because if he wasn't, why would he have little droids holding his cloak up for him while he walks around? He informs them that they are now officially a prominent trade spur of the Hydean Way. As they head up to his office to have a chat, Grogu can be seen doing more adorable things as usual, spinning himself around in the magistrate's chair, using the Force to propel him around and around. These little funny moments are so well placed and really add a fun nuance to the story and the scenes. High Magistrate Karga, feeling motivated by his success and appreciation for Mando, offers him a place to stay in Navarro, to take a load off and have some time to be safe with the kid. But Din declines, telling him that he is now an apostate of his clan and must go on a mission to redeem himself and atone for his mistake of removing his helmet. As they continue to converse, Karga's personal droid comes to tell him that there's a group of pirates waiting outside. A Weequay pirate, who goes by the name of Vane, is there with his crew looking into all the new changes that have been happening since they were last there. Vane demands a drink for himself and his crew at the old saloon they used to drink at, but Karga tells them that this is now a school, and no drinks, or pirates for that matter, will be served there. During this interaction, Mando stoically stands in the background, very Boba Fett-ish, I must say, simply waiting for his moment to strike if things get heated. Vane insists that his boss, Gorian Shard, will not be deterred by this new style of governing. Vane brandishes his gun, and Karga does the same. Vane draws, and Karga blasts his gun right out of his hands and gives him one final warning. As they begin to leave, one of his crew pulls out a blaster, and before he can even shoot, Mando takes them out from the back like nobody's business, and Vane scampers away like the coward that he is. After the scuffle, Karga offers Din a job as a marshal, saying that Cara Dune, being recruited to Special Forces after capturing Moff Gideon, that she's no longer available to be his marshal. Karga has got a good thing going here, but he knows he needs a marshal to really help keep the peace and order. Unfortunately, though, Mando declines, and said that the reason for him being on Navarro is that he needs a droid to help navigate through the mines of Mandalore, and not just any droid, but a droid he can trust, IG-11. Karga believes that he is beyond repair, but Mando is not so quick to give up, and believes that he can in fact be salvaged. As he works on him to spark him back to life, IG momentarily comes back online, but the plan backfires as he defaults back to his original programming and immediately starts trying to attack Grogu. If you remember from the first season, IG-11's primary directive was to locate and destroy Grogu. Even with that hiccup though, Mando remains determined to fix IG and restore him to his alternative functioning taught by Quill to bring him back to the selfless IG we grew to know and love. Karga suggests that they get him to the Droid Smiths, a group of Anzellans known to be best in the craft. Now, these little dudes might look familiar because the most recent named one we saw was Babu Frick from The Rise of Skywalker, and let's face it, these creatures are pretty damn funny and adorable as well. In the background, if you look closely, there's also what looks to be a piece of BB-8. Is this BB-8's origin story, perhaps? I don't know. Tell me what you think. Shirley Henderson, who also provided the voice of Babu Frick, also voices the little Anzellans in this episode. They do their best, but without an intact memory circuit, they simply cannot restore him. Mando says that he will find them what they need and get it to them as soon as he can. Meanwhile, Grogu is over there squeezing them as if they are little pet critters, and the one Anzellan calls him a bad baby. As Mando and Grogu depart Navarro, they are ambushed by Vane and his men, who seem to have been waiting for him to leave the planet. Mando engages the NOS button on his ship, and he goes into evasive maneuvers. He dodges some asteroids, makes some quick turns, and even tries spinning. I mean, that's a good trick. At every step of the way, Mando uses the 5 Ds. Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge, and he manages to outsmart every one of those fighters with ease. He chases down Vane, but stops in his tracks when he comes face to face with Gorian Shard's heavy cruiser. Held at turbo laser gunpoint, Swamp Thing Gorian tells him that if they give him the ship, they'll let them live. Din takes a moment to pause and tells Grogu, never trust a pirate, and blasts right past them into hyperspace. Damn, that ship is cool, I swear. In the next scene, they arrive at the neighboring planet to Mandalore, Kalevala, and home to House Kryze. Din and Grogu approach the castle throne room, where a dejected Bo-Katan sits peering into the landscape below. She informs him that when she returned without the Darksaber, all her forces left her. She asks him if he still has the saber, and he says yes. And you can tell there's something still brewing underneath, just waiting to spill over. She is in the sadness phase of her failure, but at some point that will turn into rage. He informs her that once again, the Darksaber is not his priority, and he will help her in any way he can, but his true mission is to find the living waters in the mines of Mandalore to redeem himself for his transgressions. If he must go, he'll find what he's looking for in the city of Sundari. He thanks her and leaves as she watches him walk away and says, until we meet again, roll credits. Well, my friends, talk about starting out the season right. I was glued to the episode for every minute. I was awestruck at the scenes, I laughed, I didn't quite cry, but there were moments I was somber and moments when I smiled a lot. The action was phenomenal, the characters were plentiful, and we got a huge crate dragon-esque fight and a wonderful asteroid battle scene, reminiscent of Obi-Wan and Jango in the Clone Wars. Overall, this was quite an episode, and it was awesome to see Grogu and Mando back at it again. I have high hopes for this season, and I think the galaxy is about to get a lot bigger. See anything I missed? Let us know in the comments, and stay tuned for more live shows and content in the future. As always, thank you for joining me and Tom at BadCuzDad. This is the way.